Anybody want to try?
Yes, this is a cow. I think so. But the horn is different from a cow horn.
This is a cow.
No, it's not cow.
Okay. Badewale, you feel Tajin, you want to try?
It's from family of deer, something like that, because of his horns.
Okay, you failed it. Anybody else? Anybody else? So for those that just joined, we are just game. So this is how the game is. I'll be putting an image on the screen. We are meant to name the animal and give the sound they make in their habitat.
Sorry, I didn't get that.
So this is it's just a game before we start class. So up a picture of an animal like what you are seeing on my screen right now. So you have to give the animal, give the name of the animal and the sound. I mean, their sound or their description, the sound they make.
Okay, no problem.
Somebody wants to try. Adewale failed it. In Tajun failed it. Um, Anybody else?
Yeah, I'm thinking an antelope, but I'm not sure. It does not really look like one. I don't know the sound though.
Yeah, it is antelope.
Okay. Uh, this image on the screen is an antelope, and the description is that there's not antelope snots. So nobody gets it right. You all guessed, but you didn't give the right answer. So I'm just gonna hold back to it. So let me put up another image. So anybody that gets it, anybody that gets it, especially the guys in Nigeria, anybody that gets it gets an airtime reward. So okay, so I'm just gonna put up the image. So I'm putting up the image now. So if you can get it right, you will won yourself an airtime. So you give the name of the animal and the sound it makes, the description. So the mic is open. Anybody that wants to try, tell us your name and give us an answer in less than 3 seconds.
Hi David, good morning.
Hi.
Uh, I have last time I am using a Postman. So in the tutorial, my two cases are
Sorry,
pass and
so not yet time. We are playing a game for the next 15 minutes before, so you can bring up your question. So we are those that just join us. We are actually playing a game. We'll put an image on the screen You have to give the name of the animal and its description or sound it makes.
Okay.
Anybody wants to try? Anybody wants to try? Nobody's talking. Nobody's talking.
Um, is that a quote? Is I think it's nothing. I mean, something like that. I'm not sure.
You have to give the
Quotes.
animal and the description or sound it makes. Um, there's a reason why I put this game. It's just to put a test or not. And the emphasis of this game is to collaborate and to contribute. And since we started this game, I am having a very bad feeling, which I don't like. Though you don't know the question, you can give it a try and next keep it mute. Except from Peter and Tadni that contributed. I really don't like that concept. Like that. And I mentioned this thing. Sometimes you might just be in a meeting and a question is brought up. Even though you don't have the right or you don't know the right answer or you have a question you want to ask and you like, oh, when you ask the question they will laugh at you or you think the question is stupid. It's not about that. No question is stupid and no answer is stupid. It's all about contribution and collaborating. Honestly, I and number one thing I know about you being in a working environment is that you need to learn how to collaborate. You need to learn how to communicate. This is part of the reason why I threw up this game, and it's actually a test for us, and all of us failed. I really don't like it, honestly. Just gonna continue the class. This is Zebra, and his description is Arsenal's too as well. So let's dive into what we need to do today. Good morning once again, guys.
Good morning, David.
So the last class, in the last class, I mentioned training description. So I we mentioned we will. So in last class we cover what is API. So what are the importance of what the importance what are the importance of API and so why we test API. And also we talked about API testing definition, advantages and the bugs we might encounter while testing API. Then we also talk about API testing approach and best practices. white thing. And best practices testing. Then so that is where we stopped. And today we will be picking up from API method and the response type, and then the key things to look out for while testing, while performing API testing. And okay, yes, I mentioned part of this in the last class about the key things we look out for while testing API. Then we also share tools that we use, in testing API. And I mentioned several tools last class. I mentioned Postman being the major tools we use for API testing. I mentioned Rest Assured. I mentioned um, what tools again? Let me quickly check. So we mentioned several tools in the last class. So we mentioned Rapis, mentioned Run Scope, we mentioned HTTP Master. So these are the testing ways too as well, and REST, SOAP UI. So these are the tools we use in the industry to test API, and Postman being the major tools used for testing API. It depends on the organization you work and the tools that is being used in the organization. And so today we'll be looking at how to create our first API request. Then after then we'll be having our Q&A section. So um does anybody have question from the last class? Was there any challenges from the last class?
I have a question.
Okay, please shoot.
I want to
Yeah, I
ask
have a
that
question too.
when we have to write a script.
When we have to write test script.
Yes.
let me just click paste. So as seen on the screen, I've already pasted the body. I assume I already typed all the body. So these are all the data I have on the on the URL. So the type actually means the kind of response you'll be passing into the to the body. So if we have it can be string, it can be alphabet, it can be number, and all these are just like listed there. So first name is equal to string. So string is the name you need. We've already passed in the first name, we've already passed in the last name. So let me just enter my email address. The reason why you are seeing this double curly braces and email address is because I've set in an environment for this guy. So once I send this request, it's going to go to the environment, and I've already added pre-request script for this guy. So instead of me typing in email address every now and then, I've already automated to generate a random email from it. So that's why you can see this guy. So if I over on this HTML code, you will see the value for this email as seen on the screen, double curly braces or email, blah blah blah, and this is what is referring to, as you can see on the screen. Then same thing for the phone number. You can see the phone number is 080 070, then random phone, and same thing for the code. You can see the double curly braces and the code, same thing for the code. So let me just pass in my real email here, since we are doing a test. david.us@yahoo.com. So let me pass in my phone number 08087433325. So verification code, I can just do 1 2 3 4. We've already created our endpoints already, and we've passed in the data. And as seen on the screen, you can see they are giving description. So for this username field, they said once you pass in the username, you need to add the name, and the description for phone number says phone number must be 11 digits. If the phone number is more than 11 digits, it's going to give you an error response message saying that value must be 11 digits. Same thing applies to gender too. Is either you passing male or female, and as seen on the screen, I've passed in male. Imagine I pass in goat for the gender, and I send this request. You can see it's giving me a response message saying invalid gender, must be male or female. So as a tester, imagine I send in this request, and it granted me to register with this gender given as a goat. So you have to log in this bug to say, okay, I could register with goat with gender value given as goat instead of male or female. So this is a bug. If I was able to register, but I was unable to register, so we won't report this as a bug. So the application gave me the response as accepted. So I validated the response body with what I have on the documentation. So this is the documentation for API documentation folder provided to you for this application, as you can see on the screen. So this is the response you will expect once you pass in valid data for login. Your response data will come in this kind of format. So anything aside from this kind of format, you will always log and report the bug. Okay, this is what you got. And as seen on my screen here, this is a test case sheet we use in reporting API. So you can see the user service which is soft module, which is the subfolder. We have auth service, and we have the endpoint itself, which is verify account. You can see the request body are passing. You can see the actual response. You can see the expected response, and you can see the method are passing. So you can select the method you're passing, the response code you got while you send the request, the response code you got while sending the request, and you can see the status. Assuming this was failed, I will leave it as failed. Like, okay, this is a failed request, and once I mark it as failed, so on this status, the issue is fixed. You can come here and click on fixed or pending or reviewing. And if this request have to fail, I will click on it here and say failed, and give a status report reviewing, so the developer can use. So what this test case is used for is just to work with the developer. So once you log in your errors here, or your bug you encounter while testing API, developer can always pick up this sheet and fix the issue, and then you can always update the sheet yourself. So that is just a brief on how to create a collection if you are given a URL. And sometimes you might be given a link, that is a JSON file, that is a JSON file for your application. So this is let me see a sample JSON file, API JSON file. So if by chance I will check for the example of the JSON file. If by chance you have a JSON file, so you come to import, then you come to file or link. So is either it's coming in as a file. So if you have a file that is being sent to you, API file that's been sent to you, you come to file, import, click on file, click on upload. You click on upload, then so as you can see, this is a sample of the JSON file. So once you click on this guy, it imports the API collections into your Postman. So that is a sample of a file. So sometimes it comes in as a link. So whenever API comes in as a link, so you copy the URL and paste in here, and the link always ends with swagger.json, not the URL we just did an example for. The link will always come with swagger.json. So you just copy the URL and paste it here and click on continue, then it automatically imports your file. So, and once you send this request, always remember to click on save button, while testing API. So let me pass in the right data for this guy to see what I have. So let me send this request again. So as you can see, I was able to register. So I've posted this request, and okay, sorry, we named the request. So we are supposed to name the request register. Click save. So I've already been able to register. So for me to validate now, I will go to my Postman documentation. So you can see the format in which this guy came. So you can see status saying okay. You can see data. We can see auth ID, first name. So all these quotation mark has value in it. You can see token bearer, user type. Let me come back to my Postman. You can see token type. You can see access level. You can see login as a writer. You can see user type. So now this is a pass request. So all my endpoint passes here, and I can click save. So to answer your question, the person that asked the question, so for me to add in test script to validate this this um this response body I have, I will come to test. And so let's assume I want to validate the response code. So I have clicked this guy here, which is a snippet. So you come to test, click on test, and come to snippet here, and you can choose whatever variable you need to validate. So this one I have said, okay, PM test status code function is equal to 200. So I have told Postman that okay, test whenever I send this request should be 200 status code. Then I can also test for like I said, I can check for time to how long does it take to perform a registration on the application. I can say okay, PM test response time to be less than 1000 seconds. So 1000 milliseconds is how many seconds? Okay, let's say 5000 seconds. So 5000 milliseconds is 5 seconds. Okay, I said PM test this login request shouldn't exceed 5000 seconds. Then I can also set okay, for me to know that okay, this response body I'm supposed to get, when I send this request, is supposed to come in this format. I can say okay, response body contains string. So as you can see, this is a test script that said okay, validate if this response body, if this first name is among the response is part of the response body. So I can say okay, let me copy out this first name and paste in here. So once you click on this response body, once you click on response body contains string. So for this first name is a string. I am telling Postman to test okay, this response body contains this string, which is first name. Then I can also excuse me, I can also test that okay, Postman validate this response body that I also have this email address. Okay, sorry, let me use the first name, that I have this first name. Okay, let me use this guy. So we've already do it for this value. So let me say I have this guy, this email address. Okay, let me just use the email address because it will still change. So let me add in this value again. Okay, response body contains email address. So let me add in email address. Bam. So once I add in my test script, I can click on save. So these are examples of snippets you can explore them in your quiet time, read about it, how they works. So let's send this request again. So by default, it should tell me okay that this data has been existing, so I shouldn't be able to register twice with the same data. So let me send this request. You can see it's telling me this phone number already exists. So let me update the phone number. Let me use 2626. So let me send this request. Okay, it's telling me email address already exists. Okay, let me use this email address. Let me send this request again. So as you can see, I have changed in some of the data on the screen. So I changed in the email address, I changed in the password. So for me to validate that okay, all my tests was executed, if I click on this guy, test result, you can see status code is 200 as expected. You can see the response time is less than 5000 seconds okay, sorry, I didn't update. I'm supposed to change this to 5000. supposed to be 5,000 as expected. Then body matches string, which is this body. You can see I have first name among my body and I have email among my body. So all my tests passed. So in the case of you performing automation, which we will get to later in the later. So for example, if I have to automate this guy here, I need to do some things which I'm going to teach us not now, later. So imagine I send this request again. You can see Postman have already, with the test I've added here, I said Postman should verify if I have first name with my response, and as you can see is already failing it that I don't have such string in my response body. So the two tests failed, but still my response time passed and my status code passed. Normally this status code, as I explained in the last class, is supposed to be 404. It's supposed to tell me not found, like 404 request, but as the system is being programmed, it said okay, for every request you give 200 response code, which is not our problem. So that is how to create a collection, and that is how to add tests to your request. Do we all get that?
Yes, sir.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
So just
Can you please
answer
show
that.
the screen?
I just answered that question now. So let's continue with what we are meant to do today, and we do some practical, and we perform some practical today. So API method and response type. So in the last class, I mentioned some methods we use, standard industry while creating API collection. So there are several methods, but we consider 4 of them, while testing API. So we have the get request, we have the post request, the put request, and we have the delete request. So the get request is used to extract information from the given server using a given URL, while using a get request should be only extract data and should have other effect on the data you are trying to pull, or the pre-existing data in the system. So we have a post request. So post request is used to create a new entity, which is what we performed earlier. So I created a new entity. So let me go back to Postman again. Let's perform a get request. Let's perform a get request. So for example, so if we go back to our API documentation, and let's go back to our API documentation. So let's execute a get request. So let's use this get request. So this get request says retrieve users. Like you are telling Postman you are to get the users that have been registered, in the server. So I will come to my Postman. So remember, still under auth, this is another folder. So this is auth service. So now this is another folder called user service, and under this user service, it is stated for me to get user. So I will go to my Postman. Go to my Postman, come on the major collection folder, which is here, and click on the menu button and add new folder. Don't get it twisted, guys. So for example, this auth service folder, if you go to your documentation, we have register under auth service folder, we have login under auth service folder, we have verify account under auth service folder, we have reset password under alt service folder. We have whitelist token under alt service folder, which is the same thing as this, as the pre-existing document I have. You can see right here, you can see alt service, you can see alt service here. So under alt service here, I have register, I have login, I have update. So whatever endpoint you have under your folder, it should be added to your folder. So now we need to create a folder for user service, and I'm just going to name it user service. So user service. So I've already created a folder for user service. So I need to add the request to my user service, which is the get request. So I come to user service. I click on add request. Then I need to name my endpoint. So I say get users. So I need to set in my URL. And remember, your URL comprises of your base URL and your endpoint. So I copy out the base URL, which is this. I paste in the URL. Then I'll copy the endpoint. What is the endpoint for user service? So this is the endpoint, version 1.1, then the auth ID. So I copy this guy, which is the endpoint, and paste in here. So once I paste in the endpoint and the user and the URL, and I can click on send. So for this kind of endpoint, it tells me authorization, that I need to get authorization. So I need a token authorization to set in this guy. So let me log in. Let me perform a login request. So I need to perform a login request, which is what you can see here. So I'll click on this guy to log in. Then so once I log in, I will copy out this token. So this, I'm teaching us how to set a token now into our authentication. So I need to copy out this guy. I need to copy out this token and come to get user, come to authorization, click on this drop down arrow, and click on bearer token, and you can come in here. You can come in here and paste your token. So the reason why you are seeing this initially is because I've already set it to the environment. So if I over on this guy now, you see token, you see down there at the drop down dialog box that token is in sent. So you can copy your token in here and click save. Then come back to your request and send your request. So you can see invalid ID. So it needs an admin service. So that is how to set token into your request if it requires token to execute the endpoint. So let's continue. So I've mentioned get requests, how then put request to create new entity or to update an existing data in the system. And the delete request is to remove the current representation of the target subfolder. So you can delete data, from the server using the delete request. So we have type of HTTP response. So on sending a request, API sending the response body, which consists of the body, cookies, header, text, status code, API response time. So there are many status code we have from which we can verify response. So these are just a few of them below. So we have the 200 response code, which is successful request. We have the 201, which is always for successful request and data was created, like when you are performing a register you should get a register request. You should get a 201 response code that this data was created and was a successful request. And we have 204 response code, which is for empty response. We have 400, which is for bad request. We have 401, which is for unauthorized access. We have 403, which is forbidden access. For example, you entered wrong URL. We have the 404, which is data not found. You trying to get a data, uh, from the server, but you are passing invalid data, so you should get the response code. You have the 4, we have the 405, we have the 500 for internal server error. When server is down, when you send trying to get information from the server and server is down, you get 500. So we have 53 response code too as well, which is service not available. Maybe the microservices is down. So also the key things to look at while testing API, which I mentioned in the last class. So we look at for get method, we use it to retract to retract to retrieve data, from the we use it to retrieve data from the server, and we check if the result is accurate. That is, your result is exactly tallies what you filtered, use as from the output. And then we also check if the numbers and records return accurately. Then we also check if all the expected fields is in the result. We also check if the filter accepts the right value, and the right value based on their type of data, e.g. Boolean data type should accept 0, 1, true or false as value. So an example of this to portray this is like the male or female test we did. I was told to add in male or female to that field, and I input goat, and you can see the return value was telling me, okay, I need to pass in the male and or female, whatever. So we also check if the record returns is huge. That is there an option of pagination? And we also need to query the database manually to confirm these questions above, as you can see. So the deleter, why performing deleting method? So we use it to check the record if it's been deleted, from the database. For example, if I have to delete a request, maybe I need to delete a user. So once I perform the delete of this request, and I try to perform the delete request to be assured that, okay, this user have been deleted completely from the database. So while deleting the record, preserve data integrity to know if the data has been deleted from the database. Then also then also sorry, 1 minute, guys. So in case where delete record is not physically deleted from the table, his record is flagged as marked as delete, i.e. that is appropriate column is updated in the right value. So let's go on to the next one. So there are basically two outputs/result expected in API testing. So we check for the success message in case of pass or fail, and we also check the appropriate error in case of failure. Then we consult API documentation for expected success and failure messages, like what we did in the sample we in the with the sample we performed earlier on. So now we will learn how to create our first API
how we can
request.
use different HTTP.
So we will learn how to create first API request using Postman.
Request in Postman. Let us
So for us to create our first API request, so I will drop this link in the chat section. I want us to go to this link. So we want to teach ourselves on how to create our first API request. So I just drop the link in the chat section, the WhatsApp group. So once you go to that link, it will take us to this page as seen on the screen. Guys, are you with me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So our first task says we should create okay, I want you to perform this task now. So go to your Postman. This link I gave you guys, go on the link, and I want you to create a collection folder for this request from this request.in. So I want us to execute that test now. I want us to create a collection folder and create this request. So go to your training slide, which is this slide. Create a folder, create a collection folder, name your folder request API, then create a get request, set your base URL and your set your URL which comprises of your base URL and your endpoint. Remember the example I gave when we started the class. Then create a request for list user and a single user. Do you understand? So go to your Postman, open the collection folder, then set your base URL. So you are setting your base URL. This is your base URL. While setting your base URL, and this is your endpoint. This is your endpoint for this request. So I want us to execute the task now for just 10 minutes, and we'll join back. So once you are done, you signify you are done, and you can present your screen to see. So your time starts now.